I still remember the first time I saw him. That small boy with eyes too tired for a 7-year-old, standing at the edge of my food stall like a shadow that didn't belong to anyone. His feet were bare, dusty from walking through the unpaved streets of Riverside District, and he clutched a small plastic bowl against his chest like it was the most precious thing in the world. I was busy that morning, frying plantains and serving early customers who rushed to work. The smell of palm oil and pepper filled the air, mixing with the sounds of car horns and sellers shouting their prices. Port Harcourt was always loud, always moving, but this boy stood perfectly still. He didn't call out to me. He didn't beg like the other children who sometimes came around. He just watched, his small shoulders rising and falling with each breath, waiting for something I didn't understand yet. "Go on, move away from here," one of my customers said, waving his hand dismissively at the boy. "These children are always disturbing people." But Kelechi didn't move. He didn't argue. He simply stepped back a little, his eyes dropping to the ground, and I felt something twist in my chest. There was something different about this one, something that made me pause with the spatula in my hand, oil still dripping from the plantain I was about to serve. "Wait," I called out to him. "What do you want?" He looked up at me then, and I saw it clearly. Not just hunger, not just need. There was love in those eyes. Desperate, protective love that no child should have to carry. "Please, Ma," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I just need small food. Anything at all." I should have asked more questions. I should have demanded to know where his parents were, why he was alone, why his clothes were so worn they were practically falling apart. But instead, I turned back to my stall, scooped some rice and stew onto a plate, and handed it to him. The way his face lit up made my heart break and heal at the same time. "Thank you, Ma. God bless you, Ma." He didn't eat it there. He turned and ran, disappearing into the crowd like he was afraid I would change my mind. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about him. Who was he running to? Why did he look so scared? The next morning, he came back. Same time, same spot, same patient waiting. And I fed him again. This became our routine. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he appeared like clockwork, and I always had something ready. But it was on Friday that everything changed. I saw him wiping his face with the corner of his dirty shirt, trying to hide the tears that kept falling. He thought no one was watching, but I was. I walked over to him, kneeling down to meet his eyes. "What's wrong?" I asked gently. He shook his head, his small body trembling. "Nothing, Ma." "Kelechi." I didn't even know his name yet, but the word felt right. "Talk to me." He finally said, the words tumbling out like they'd been trapped for too long. "My mama is very sick. She cannot move well. She cannot work. I try to help her, but I don't know what to do." My heart shattered. "Where is she?" He pointed down the road, past the main market, toward the abandoned construction sites where nobody wanted to live. "That place," he said, "the uncompleted building." I closed my stall early that day. My regular customers complained, but I didn't care. I followed Kelechi through the narrow paths, past piles of garbage and broken concrete, until we reached a structure that barely deserved to be called a building. The walls were hollow, the roof was missing in places, and the smell of dampness hung heavy in the air. Inside, on a worn mat laid directly on the concrete floor, was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Even in her sickness, even with her skin pale and her body frail, she had a dignity that commanded respect. "Mama, I brought the good woman who gives me food," Kelechi said, rushing to her side. She tried to sit up, struggling with the effort. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice weak but proud. "I'm sorry my son has been disturbing you." "He hasn't disturbed me at all," I said quickly, moving closer. "Please, don't try to get up. Rest." Her name was Amara. She told me her story in fragments, pausing often to catch her breath. She had owned a small tailoring shop once, right here in Port Harcourt. She had regular customers, a small but steady income, dreams of expanding. Then the sickness came. Kidney disease, the doctor said. The treatments drained every naira she had saved. She sold her sewing machines, her fabric, her furniture. She lost the shop. She lost everything. Except Kelechi. He is all I have left, she said, tears sliding down her cheeks. He is my reason for still fighting. I held her hand, feeling how cold it was, despite the heat. You're not alone anymore, I promised. I will help you, both of you. From that day forward, I became part of their lives. I brought them food every evening after closing my stall. I brought medicine when I could afford it. I brought hope when their spirits were breaking. Kelechi started helping me at the stall, washing plates, running small errands, and slowly I watched the light return to his eyes. Months passed like this. We became a strange little family, bound not by blood, but by something stronger. Amara grew a little stronger with regular meals, though I knew it wasn't enough. She needed proper treatment, surgery, things I couldn't provide with my small earnings. Then, one evening, everything shifted. I was closing up the stall when a man approached me. He was tall, well-dressed, with the kind of confidence that came from success. That his eyes held something else. Desperation. "Excuse me," he said, his voice tight with emotion. "I'm looking for someone, a woman, named Amara. She used to have a tailoring shop around here." My hands froze on the lock I was fastening. "Why are you looking for her?" "Because I never stopped," he said. And there was such pain in those words that I had to look at him properly. I loved her. I still love her. 9 years ago, I left for Canada to study. I was going to come back for her, build a life together. But everything went wrong. My documents were stolen, I fell sick, I lost contact with everyone back home. It took me years to get back on my feet, and the first thing I did when I could was come back here to find her. "What's your name?" I asked, although I already felt the truth settling in my bones. "Chibuzo, Dr. Chibuzo Okafor." Kelechi chose that moment to come running around the corner, laughing at something, his feet slapping against the ground. He stopped when he saw the stranger, instinctively moving closer to me. Dr. Chibuzo stared at the boy like he was seeing a ghost. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Who is that?" I looked at Kelechi, then back at the man, and I saw it clearly. The same eyes, the same shape of the face, the same quiet strength. That's Kelechi, Amara's son. The man's legs seemed to give out. He sat down heavily on the bench near my stall, his head in his hands. "How old is he?" "7, I whispered. He looked up at me with tears streaming down his face. "Where is she? Please, tell me where she is." I took him to them that night. I couldn't not. Whatever complicated emotions I felt, whatever questions I had, they could wait. This man had been searching for 9 years. Amara had been suffering for just as long. And Kelechi deserved to know his father. The walk to the abandoned building felt longer than usual. Dr. Chibuzo didn't speak, but I could feel the tension radiating from him with every step. When we finally arrived, and he saw the conditions they were living in, he made a sound like something had physically struck him. "Amara," he breathed, stepping through the doorway. She was lying down, resting after the small meal I'd brought earlier. At the sound of his voice, her entire body went rigid. She turned her head slowly, and when her eyes met his, time seemed to stop. "Chibuzo," she whispered, as if saying his name might make him disappear. "I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "I thought you forgot about me," she said, her voice breaking. "I thought you moved on with your life in Canada and never looked back." "Never," he said fiercely, taking her hands in his. "I searched for you as soon as I could. I've been looking for months since I returned. Amara, I never stopped loving you, not for one single day." Kelechi pressed against my side, confused and frightened by the emotional intensity filling the small space. I wrapped my arm around him, holding him close. "Who is he?" Kelechi whispered to me. Amara heard him. She looked at her son, then at Chibuzo, and fresh tears spilled down her face. "Kelechi, come here," she said gently. The boy hesitated, but he trusted his mother. He walked over slowly, stopping just out of reach of the strange man who was crying in their home. Chibuzo looked at him with such raw emotion that I had to turn away for a moment. Kelechi, he said, his voice shaking. That's a strong name. A good name. My mama gave it to me, Kelechi said proudly, his chin lifting. Your mama is a wise woman, he said. He looked at Amara, asking permission with his eyes. She nodded, still crying. Kelechi, I'm your father. The boy blinked. My papa? Yes, your papa. And I'm never leaving you again. Either of you. What happened next happened fast. Dr. Chibuzo wasn't a man who wasted time once he knew what needed to be done. Within 2 days, he had moved Amara and Kelechi out of that abandoned building and into a clean, comfortable apartment.